Forward, effective and Charlie. Forward, draw the sword. Forward, up and rally.
Hello there everyone, and welcome back to Empire Total War. So, per the vote, we're gonna play the Empire Total War 2 mod, and we're going to be playing as Scotland. I have already gone ahead and set up for this to be a 40-unit campaign. If you're interested to know how to do that, I've already gone ahead and done a installation video on how to do that previously, so it's just go ahead and search that on my channel. For a general installation video of Empire 2, I see no real point in that. It's a installer for this current version 4.5, and it's as easy and can be, so I think we'll be skipping that part. And with that, I think we'll just head into the campaign, shall we? And there we are on the campaign map. But before we go ahead and start building and recruiting troops, I want to say that we are, as always, going to name units, regiments, after paying members. But also, I'm going to pick one random comment down below and put it into the campaign. So, if you have a specific regiment, or if you want to be as vague as just elite infantry, go ahead and post in a comment below what type of unit you want and what you want to call it, and perhaps you just might be lucky enough to be put into the campaign. With that said, it's high time for us to start. So, Scotland is in a rather bad position, I see, because the province doesn't hold a lot. We do have a port, which is good, so we can trade, so that's going to be a big deal. But otherwise than that, we don't even start with a built-up school like most other nations do. So we'll have to build our school, which means that we'll be 4 turns behind everyone else in terms of technology. And then the second village is just a little sheep farm. And in terms of the main holding, we don't have... that's not particularly big either. So, before we go ahead and start building in the main square, I wanted to go over the strategy that I have. I have 2 strategies. Obviously, the first one is to try and snipe out the English as soon as possible. Create a large army, march on London and Dublin, Ireland right away and get rid of them. This could potentially be risky because currently we start with no troops at all, and the English, or Great Britain, might have quite a bit of troops, and also they have a lot better position in terms of they already have a cannon foundry, they already have barracks, they hold 2 positions, so I'll be basically fighting a 2-front war. So it's kind of stacked against us a little bit in that sense. So that's one strategy. The other strategy is actually to ally with the English right away and sort of build a colonial empire sort of behind their back, and then once we're ready, once we have the capital, the money, you know, the resources, then is when we take them out. So those are the 2 strategies. And I think we're going to explore firstly. I think that charging them out directly is probably the best option in terms of that would give us a really good start to control all of this. And also, taking over that means that all British colonies would be turned to rebels. Now, obviously, a lot of this... the 13 colonies would probably stay the 13 colonies, but a lot of this would form into their own sort of rebel territories, which would be perfect for me to come and swoop in and take control of them. So that would be great. But, as I said, perhaps difficult. Now, I don't even know if they're gonna go ahead and accept that. But we can at least try and start by setting up trade deals. So I think we're going to trade with the British. We'll start with that first. Then we're going to hedge our bets. We're going to start trading with the French, which would be the second option in terms of allies. So if we're going against the English, we would ally their enemies. Next up, we've got the Spanish, another large empire and a seafaring nation, so it'd be good to have them on our side. Then I don't know if this is how it works, but I figure when you set up trade deals that it's better to set up trade deals with larger nations. So that's why the Ottomans come next, because I think I might be able to make more money that way. So, well, they're sort of the same. The French are actually the ones to buy the most. So I think we have one more, and I don't know. Let's see. Who else would be? Perhaps the Dutch. I wonder though if the Dutch. Perhaps the Swedes. The Swedes are pretty good friends with us, and it sort of ties back to my previous campaign. So we'll set up trade with Sweden. So we've now set up trade with everyone that we can. Now, will the British be happy with an alliance? No, they will not. That's not good. For now, I will assume that we're still looking at an alliance with the British. It's just not gonna come just yet. With that in mind, what I want to do for the building structures here is we're gonna go for conservatum, because that will lead us to specific buildings. The Royal Scottish Academy, which gives a lot of good bonuses. So there's two different ones. One that sort of goes from the Opera House Museum, or another one that goes from the Royal Observatory. I think this one though is probably the best one, because the other one has some side effects which are not that great. So minus happiness for the lower classes and so on. In terms of the other stuff, there isn't actually that many more special buildings for the other parts of what's it called? For the town, as it were. Now, for the second one, you might think, okay, so we'll go for a cannon foundry. Well, the problem with that is that the cannon foundry, to actually get cannons out of that, we would actually have to get limbers researched before we get to even recruit cannons. So I think we're not going to go for that. The second option would be Admiralty, which, if we're going to make sort of a trade nation behind England's back, then it would be good to have this, because not only does it give us bonuses, naval bonuses, it's also opening up for these different trade or research options, which would be good to enable better ships to be researched. However, what I'm thinking is we're actually going to go for the magistrate. It'll give good repression, it'll give some money and some money per turn. So I think that it will also lead to these specialized buildings. So military hospital, and let's see, this one right here, which I think is some kind of barracks building. The important thing which I'm actually looking for here is this one, because it increases the recruitment capacity by 1, which ties actually into my second strategy, which would be to storm the British with overwhelming troops. And so I would want then that extra recruitment space, because we actually have quite a few units that only need 1 turn to be recruited. Currently I can recruit 4. However, I want to spend most of my money now on building ships. So I could build the full riggers, but I'm hoping to avoid battles, and I'll actually be able to trade the same way with the sloops. And they're quicker to recruit. So we're gonna try and go ahead and set up recruitment for a lot of these. And then what I want to have as my sort of standing army, which is troops that's going to take a little bit longer to recruit, that's going to be the pikemen. So we're going to start with the Earl of Argyle's regiment rather than just the standard pikemen, because it sounds rather Scottish to have the Earl of Argyle's regiments. So I'm gonna get 4 of those set up, and then in the next round we're gonna see about getting some cavalry units. And then if war comes, then is when I'll get the matchlock musketeers and the Highland warriors. And hopefully by that time, you know, they'll take 1 turn to recruit, so I'll be able to get a load of those quickly. We'll go ahead and reduce the amount of ships just so I can start the roads as well. With that done, I mean, I can't set up any technology, but I think we would, once that starts, we're going to go down the philosophy to start with to increase our chances of getting or increasing the rate in which we get technology. And then just before we go and end turn here, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the ministers. And these all have... they always start with random traits. So this guy has management for treasury, but also minus management for treasury. So he's not actually that good. This guy is only pious. Harsh reputation, so this guy could potentially actually be better for justice. And then the guy that was in for justice would actually be better for the navy. And then the guy for the navy would actually be better for the army. But we already have a guy that's good for the army. So that setup, we have been able to increase stars for justice and navy. So that'll improve a little bit. And with that, we've got everything set up. Now, I'm hoping that England doesn't declare war on us immediately. Because I'm hoping to stay in their backwaters for a little bit until I'm ready to make my move. With that said, we're going to end turn. And depending on what happens, I probably will do quite a few of them. And hopefully this will not be interrupted by war with the British. And we're back! We're back almost 3 years after we started. Well, not exactly. We started in 16 and 19. It's 92 now. I do feel, though, that it's probably close to New Year's. I don't know. We just had intellectual advance. And I'll tell you a little bit about what's going on. So I've been able to recruit quite a few... well, what we should say is the most important thing is that England has not taken kindly to any of my offers of alliance. Instead, they have actually been building an alarming amount of troops on Ireland. So that has me quite a bit of worried. But as you can see, my trade empire is doing just fine. So we've got 3 ships here dealing in sugar across the Brazilian coast. In this, what's it called? Oh, is that pirates? Oh, that's not good. And the pirates have clearly attacked the British shipping. And given how much money they're getting out of that, perhaps it's best to get these ships out of the way. Let's see. Oh, it's actually... oh, it's a rather large fleet. It's a rather large fleet. It's safer to deal in sugar then, or perhaps test our luck, because the pirates seem to be here as well. So the pirates could be trading in slavery, and I guess we'll test our luck going to trade in spices. But I guess the safe bet here is to actually switch over to sugars, because I do not have any ships to deal with the pirate fleet just yet. The pirate fleet probably will keep fighting fleets along here, and eventually they will, since they have nowhere to go to port, they will find themselves without repairs, and I will be able to go ahead and cut them down at that point. So, what has happened on the home front? As you can see, there's quite a bit of build-up of troops in Ireland. However, I've recruited a larger ship, a full rigger, Pinnace. That is actually the name. The name of the ship is a Triumph, or it's called the Triumph. The British have been fighting the French, and they've also been fighting... Now, the Dutch is on their side, but they've also been fighting the Polish-Lithuanians, the Prussians, and the Marathan Confederacy. However, it's really only the French they've been fighting. The others have not really turned up in the struggle. And seemingly, I just took this ship right here, commanded by Gavin MacDonald. Took a course around all of England and Scotland in this case, and I noted that they've very low amount of troops here. So it seems like the build-up of infantry is all in this area. So I think I want to strike them first before they strike me. And rather than go to Ireland then, where they have their army, we will be heading down to London. So right now, we should go into full recruitment mode and actually build ourselves a large army and invade the English before they invade us. One mistake that I made is I built the magistrate. Now, I thought I could go directly on to some of these special buildings, but obviously they're locked behind research, so that's no good. What I probably should have done is I should have gone for the crafts workshop, which would have added a lot more wealth to the region, and plus gained wealth to the region as well. So I think that would have probably been the better choice in this case. We just got empiricism, which means that I can upgrade the college and we can get even more research. And we have our first scholar turning up to lead the research at the university. Dallas Brown. Doesn't sound very Scottish, or perhaps it is. I mean, Dallas, I think of Texas, but the Texans had to come from somewhere. And perhaps that place was Scotland. Who knows? What I want, though, is... Really, I want government by consent. I think it might be time to start doing some military. But all of them take a while. Another thing that I want to do is, obviously, I need to increase the population growth, because currently we have one area unclaimed in Rennes, which could add a great deal of things to our wonderful kingdom. So right now we're going to be building on the army. Once the army is ready, we will be marching down to deal a decisive blow to the English by taking out their capital. I do not have great confidence in the fact that my ship will hold for that long before the British ships attack him. However, I'm hoping here that it'll hold for long enough for me to be able to march down and actually take the English out, and perhaps be able to march right back into place. I do have a lot of money. What I should be doing is perhaps extend my battle fleet so that I can at least take on this fleet right here and lock their main army in Ireland, while I, undeterred, is able to march on London. That's the plan. Meanwhile, the trade ships keep trading and enriching my bustling kingdom. Because certainly not making much economic activities in these hills. Anyways, let's go ahead and end turn. The year is now 1693, the year that I thought it was earlier. Anyways, the British, I keep calling them British or English, and we'll just stick with British because that's what they're called here, Great Britain. They have now built a full stack, or a half stack in this case, because we're dealing with 40 stack armies on Ireland. So they're very much ready to invade us, but so am I, as I now have more than that. I have 24 units in my army, which we've got 8 Highland Warriors, we've got 8 units of matchlock musketeers, we've got 4 units of pikemen of the Earl of Argyll's regiment, and then we have 4 units of Scottish Lancers. However, I want to make sure that we are well and truly ready. So I want even more troops. We've got another unit of Highlanders. Then what I actually want to do is I want some yeomanry cavalry, because I want to make sure that we actually have an easy target to attack down in London, rather than going for Ireland and dealing with the army there. So I want to be able to send down scouting cavalry before the army makes its way down there, and hopefully this sort of configuration in terms of army setup is gonna work quite well. It looks like it's a rather large army, and I still have plenty of cash to use for the upkeep of the army, so we can increase the army even further. And I've been saving quite a lot of money as well, so in case our trade is blocked, we can still survive for a few turns while we deal decisive blows to the enemy. As you can see, I have now gone woke and is no longer trading in slaves. Instead, we've gone for spices and sugar, and it has nothing to do with the fact that there are dangerous pirates trading along the African coast. The fleet off the coast of Ireland has been expanded, so Gavin MacDonald has now 2 of these ships. However, I cannot promote Admiral to these fleets, so MacDonald will have to do. Soon enough, I'll recruit a general for this army as well, and we'll start our march on London for the Jacobite cause. But before then, I need to end turn and make further preparations to my army. Perfect timing! We'll have a grand opening for the Grand Opera while we go to war. The troops have been recruited. A new heir is born as well, James. So we have someone in line. I noted that he's been gaining a lot of different followers. So a choir master, a mistress, and a pet hermit. So he's got a lot of people hanging around him. Jughead Pius, patron of the Navy, and he's honest. King Charles, that is. We're currently actually minus 17, so I've overspent a little bit. Hopefully this will work out though, because we're about to go to war with England. Now, we're actually rather friendly with them, but we're gonna extend, offer our alliance, to France. Okay, no one wants to be our ally. I'm not super surprised, though. One thing that I should say, though, is I noticed that the fleet here has actually moved away. I'll detach this one. They have one here. So it could be they... but I think I can actually hold this now, because this fleet has actually moved here. And is sitting right there, which is a problem. Currently, we're minus 17, which isn't that bad, because I've got 10,000, so we've got a lot to burn through. But I think what I need to do here is I need to pull the navy in together. So now that's 2,000. If I were to move them, I would be minus 2,000. Then also the navy here, because the British have their fleet right here, so it could be that they're attacking us from there. And I kind of want to keep my fleet. Now, moving away means that other nations, not necessarily enemy nations, but other nations could come in, swoop in, and take these trade spots, which wouldn't be that great. But I think I would rather keep my navy than lose it. So I don't think I have a chance of fighting this British navy, mainly because of the main ship, the Argyle, which is odd. Perhaps I will actually have a chance to fight them, but it would be a very difficult fight. It is mainly due to the large ship, the Argyle, which I'm not entirely sure what it is, but the other ones, the full riggers, are down so much in crew that I could potentially win that fight fairly easily. However, we do not have... I think canister shot for naval ships is a research, isn't it? Well, at least I think it is. Okay, so I'm thinking I'm gonna take these 3 ships, and we're gonna head to America with them, just to avoid this fighting right here. Clearly, no one wants to be allied with us, which makes me sad. But it's time to march. So this is the army I've built. We've got tons of troops. Tons and tons of troops ready to invade. And I'm hoping they have just as pitiful of a force that they had before. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, here goes nothing. I'll call my allies. I don't have any allies. Well, would you look at that? None of the English, or actually the Dutch king and his foreign mercenaries, no one comes to join him. We're gonna send 1 cavalry unit down. Okay, so they have actually been building their force here. John Churchill, he's been building quite the force, but it's not as great as my force. And we're gonna send 1 troop down here, and then the entire army under the command of Glenn Cathart is gonna march on London. Hopefully they'll actually attack these guys, and I can drag them out, and I can destroy this bit without having to face the troops that will spawn. So that would be a great way of winning that fight. I don't know if they have more fleets stationed here. Otherwise, it might be just these ships right here that would fight each other. With that, the war is underway. Can I... No, we traded with England over land, so I cannot set up another trade route. With that... Oh, this. The Tenant's Farm. That I will upgrade. But otherwise, no more spending on building, since we're now at war. Let's go ahead and end turn and see what our enemies come up with. And we're back after the end turn with the very poor news that our General Glenn Cathart has been died during suspicious circumstances. He was found stabbed 10 times in the back. We have no idea what could have happened. Probably just a case of bad haggis. No. That's not the case. Oh, but on the upside, we've expanded the college. Now it has 2 doors and 3 windows instead of whatever hovel we used to live in before. The fleet has arrived. Yes. So, what happened is in between episodes here, I was recording the last session really late, and I ended up stopping recording midway through. And I realized, when starting today, that with the material that I've already done, I wasn't going to be able to fit a land battle and the naval battle at the same time. Also, I did realize that the naval battle was going to be a complete disaster. While I might have taken out the smaller ships through boarding, which I did, the larger ship, the Argyle, could... First of all, the range of the ships are kind of insane. Also, cannonballs fly really fast. But really, the range... Anyways, what it was, I had no chance whatsoever trying to take out the Argyle. So I decided that since I was gonna have to redo that anyways and avoid putting the naval battle in altogether, I decided to just move all of my ships to the Americas. So that fleet of 5 trade ships are going to turn up here, back here, and the 3 from the East Indies have turned up here. So I've saved my trade fleet. However, now we're losing money. I also, on the same note, I decided to save these 2 ships because there was a huge full stack of British ships coming around from I don't know where. They attacked me. I ordered my fleet to disengage or flee, and apparently that just scuttled the fleet. So I was gonna lose it anyways, so I decided to put that to port as well, which of course means that the enemy is now marching across. So what I will be doing is I will send out 1 ship to block to make sure that this doesn't cross, but you know, the big British fleet is still out here somewhere, so that's really bad. I've got the 2 German cavalry, which I'm gonna send back to Scotland. Not that I potentially need them to protect the capital, because 1 pikeman isn't gonna do anything. But I'm pretty sure he's going to raid the countryside, and on that note, actually what I want to do then is, rather than have this one in port, being forced out as he goes into raided and then be killed here, I should move this one actually somewhere north here, and we can perhaps make a little bit of money through attacking British trade. So we're down 3,000 per turn, which means that I'll be able to hold out for 2 turns if nothing changes. And something will change, because we will conquer London in a do-or-die battle. John Churchill commands 7,000 men. He's got 2 batteries of cannons. I command 6,000 men. I'm gonna go ahead and appoint a new general, since the last one was murdered. So we now have Graham Strachan in command of the Scottish forces. And yes, without further ado, let's go ahead and take out these English bastards and restore the House of Stuart. And here we now join the battlefield. So it's taken quite a while to set this up. As you can see, we're 15 minutes into the battle, and we have yet to start crossing swords with each other. However, as you can see, the line is now taking form, and we're about to attack the English position. What I've gone ahead and done is I've sent one brigade of Highland warriors in through the town, and they're gonna set up in the town, and they're also supported by one brigade of matchlock musketeers. And the idea is they would attack and clear the way by killing the cannons. Clearly though, the English are sending their troops forward. As you can see, they have positioned themselves on the backside of the town, so I'm gonna have to go through the town, which is quite the difficult process, as you might be able to tell here. But hopefully we'll manage. There is cavalry on the way there, which I don't like. Okay, so that's dragoons. We have started shooting at the enemy, and I think it's time for the main line to start to advance here. The thing is though, those bloody cannons of the enemy are quite dangerous. We'll try to advance. There's too many houses in the way. We'll wheel up first, and then I'll negotiate the houses. So there's a little bit of skirmishing going on in and around town, but no major engagement. The main enemy force is right here. They've left a big gap over here, which I tend to exploit with my cavalry. There is no real room for maneuver over on the left side, so I've concentrated all the cavalry onto one side. The fighting here continues. This one is getting shot up through the side, but I think actually what happened, one of the first things that happened in this battle was the enemy general decided to attack my units over here. He slaughtered like 40 people before I took his bodyguard down, which was only about 10 people. And the enemy cannons are slowly making their way through the town by breaking down houses. They've already destroyed 2 of these houses. I think these 4 can make it up like that, followed then by Highlanders, and then the units on this side can make their way up through here. Now there have a lot of these kind of Spanish riders everywhere, or cheval de frise type things, so that's definitely something my cavalry needs to come around, so I can definitely send them through here to be safe. Plus then the 2 units of cuirassiers, so all 6 units of cavalry will be organized through there. Ultimately, I think the risk to my units around here is so high that I'm actually gonna order the Highlanders to charge through here to start with, just really to get rid of their cannons before they tear us completely apart. The damn, the enemy's matchlock is doing quite the number of my troops compared to what my units are able to do. They tore down another house. We're holding back their cavalry. Our units is not doing too well here. I think it might be that the enemy units here are, just because of the campaign difficulty that I've chosen, could be that they are, the odds are stacked against me, as it were. Gonna move up the gunners, and then I'm gonna get the pikemen in there as well. Should order my troops to open fire. I'm gonna get my general closer to support. Heavy fighting here. As the enemy charges in, I'm gonna get my Highlanders to countercharge. My cavalry's moved out, but it's now being attacked by enemy cavalry. So we broke through here, which is good. And I guess we just continue through. Maybe not with the gunners, but we should follow through with these troops here. Since I'm sending so much cavalry on this one unit, I need to kind of save my lances here a little bit. I need to be able to send in my cavalry on the back of the enemy units here. Because the Highland warriors, while they're strong, they're not that strong. Finally, right, I want all the cavalry strung out there, ready to charge down at the enemy. You can actually try and hold off this unit while the rest of you attack through here. The battlefield is quite the mess. We managed to push through there. And the cavalry now setting up behind the enemy. But it's quite the mess, and I imagine there's a lot of casualties on both sides. I wonder if that Admiral unit is actually a pike unit? Oh, the enemy cavalry is back, the bastards. Right, this entire side should advance towards here then. March forward, and you guys are one here. You should get through here. You guys are one there, so you should get through some kind of impassable terrain, and then you guys are moving through here. There's no point in... Oh, that's a big unit of pikes. There's no point in charging down the enemy because they won't be able to leave town anyways. It's devolved down into one huge melee around the center. I'm moving up my general to support my troops to make sure that we as much as possible try to hold here. Try and avoid the pikes. But once the pikes are actually in the melee, it doesn't actually matter that much for the cavalry. What a mess. The cavalry now strikes in and hem the enemy in on all sides. Soon enough they'll I'll give them an opportunity to retreat, so I'm going to order the cavalry back. And I'm gonna let the infantry... Ah, crap! I knew that was gonna happen. If I wasn't paying attention. They rode after that unit and right into the spikes. Oh, a load of my troops start breaking away as well now in all of this. We'll have to send in some cavalry to try and break them one final time. Admiral on foot. No, that's not a pike unit, that's... Right, we've got some enemies rallying around here. What I'll do is I've got 4 units of matchlocks. They can set up through this wooded area right here, facing the enemy. You will not run into what I think you're running in towards. It turned into a massive slaughter here on this field. It was, it turned into such a mess because I had to advance through the bloody town. But I have been able to win the battle here after this massive charge. I have no idea who's left or what's left of anything here. It's okay, so we've got 1 unit of pike that was left fighting in the center. Otherwise, and all the troops have rallied. I think we seem to be missing 6 regiments. Right, there's no point in continuing the battle here because as I've now won, any further battle will just incur casualties on me while the enemy's force is now completely destroyed. So we won the Battle of London, but I'm sure it was at a very high price. Here's the result of the battle. We deploy 6,130 men against 7,000 for the enemy. We end up losing close to half our force, 2,652 men lost, while the enemy lost their entire force. We have an army remaining of 3,500 men, roughly. Friendly fires accounts for 150, roughly, for our side. Heaviest casualties seems to be among the Highland force, which seem to have lost half or more men, down to either around 50% to 25% in their numbers, So very many troops lost. Highest kills goes to a matchlock unit, which I'm actually very surprised of. I did not think highly of the matchlock units. Lost 26 men, killed close to 600. Then we have got Highland Warriors, lost half the men, killed tons and tons. Highest losses though, it's the Argyle Pikemen, which lose tons of troops. I think poor placement of them, and I was expecting, I think, more enemy cavalry than was actually present at the battle. Clearly, they did not perform well in the way that I deployed them, but it was such a mess. I'm sure we'll find a way to deploy them a lot better as we go along. With that, though, I have secured London, and hopefully that will secure my financial problem. Yes, I now make 1,000 per turn. The problem now, though, it's I have very little of chance of holding on to it without a massive rebellion coming up, and we still have a major enemy force forming on Ireland, which part of it has already slipped across. So in front of the next episode, I'm not... The thing is, it all sort of is... I feel like it's all gonna come down to how big the rebellion force is that's gonna strike us here in London. Because if it's a small force, then I can hold out against it. If it's a large force, I might very well have to abandon London and then march back up to Scotland again. And then attack Ireland. But that's all gonna be for the next episode. So for this first one, ended up with a little bit of shenanigans there, since I avoided all the naval disasters. Probably actually would have been better to sink my fleet, because right now it's just a burden on my income. And I don't really make anything from it, so really it's a burden more than anything. A way for me to cope around this. I figure that going ahead and repairing the structures here is actually gonna make me quite a bit of money, and hopefully hold me away from starvation just a little bit longer. But the thing is, at the same time, repairing some of these buildings, it would be nice. I can't recruit any cannons anyways. It would be nice if I could actually capture the cannons. In terms of what I should repair, it's, I think, Grand Opera House and the House of Parliament is what I should go ahead and repair, because those buildings are the buildings that will help the most, I feel. If I exempt them from tax, we go down to -8 and -6. If I repair Parliament, that's another -4. And if I repair the Grand Opera House, that's another, like... If I repair these, I might be able to hold on to that. But the thing is, exempting this from tax, I start to lose money again. Oh, that's expensive. So we'll start with the Grand Opera House then, because this was expensive to repair. And that also means that I cannot replenish the army units. I'll have to merge them. Perhaps with the disaster that has befallen the English, they are ready to make peace. But perhaps not very likely. I could make quite a lot more money through trade. You know what? I'm going on here. Let's go ahead and end it and leave that off for the next episode. With this episode, we have reclaimed London. Question is, for how long? And if you want to find out, then you'll have to watch the next episode. So before we end, I want to go ahead and remind that there will be a slot open for a non-member to name a unit. So go ahead and type your unit down in the comment, and I will go ahead and do some kind of random number generator to figure out who's going to be put into the campaign. With that said, I will finally end the episode. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully I'll see you guys for the next one. Bye.